Now, so I'm realizing there's actually quite a bit of a delay in Zoom and going live. Anyhow, all good. Here we go. Well, I think we're on, and we've got a few others joining us today, which is really good. Welcome, Tony, Catherine, Anthea, Neil, and others are coming in and joining us as well. We've even got Beck Daly on today. Actually, Beck, I need to message you, so I'll send you a message.
Perfect.
Your name just came up in something like just before I got on. There you go.
My ears were burning too.
Yeah, they were, obviously. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to just change the view here and go from there. So, Alec, welcome. It's great to have you on today. Alec, you and I have known each other since, actually, I was trying to remember that. It'd be
2004, Wes.
There you go.
At least. I'll get you out of that one.
I'm having mental blank. It's really good to be able to call on all your friends to do these Zoom lunches and things as well. So it's great. So, Alec, do you want to just, for those who don't know you, do you want to give some of your background and what qualifies you to do this discussion today?
Yeah, sure. So welcome, everyone. So I'm an associate principals, my official title for an accounting firm, Marsh Ticknell Chartered Accountants. So I've been an accountant for over 25 years. And so we're in public practice and we're getting a lot of information around, hey, what to do in relation to government stimulus packages. So, advise, we're a team of 50 accountants and advising a lot of clients, and we get a lot of information from a lot of various sources as well. So we're helping clients in relation to business continuity. We're also doing that for our own business as well, and also helping clients in relation to understand what they can access in terms of funding and what they can't as well. So for me personally, hey, I've done CFO roles, COO roles, and also worked in public practice as well. So I know what it's like to be running a business and and the decisions that have to be made as you're going forward as well. Also married with 5 children as well. So I also understand the challenges of managing things at home, as well as managing school, as well as managing work as well, and having the joys of getting set up for homeschooling, which I suspect is what's going to happen after the holidays.
And you guys have just moved house as well, so it's settling into a new premises and all that stuff too.
Yes, and the old house settled on Monday, which was very nice. So it was good to get the cash for that one. And but yeah, we're appreciating more space, so it's been a blessing, for us.
Good. So, Alec, tell me, how busy is it in an accounting practice at the moment? You guys must be going crazy.
Yeah, it's different. So, because what's happening is you're getting a lot of different requests. So a lot of clients aren't too worried about doing the main sort of work. A lot of the regular meetings are dropping off that you normally have face-to-face, and it's more around, hey, what are we doing in relation to business continuity and having calls in relation to that, and meetings in relation to that. Some businesses are going gangbusters, so some businesses are doing fantastic. Other businesses are doing it real tough. So you've got a range of people in relation to that. So a little bit what's happening, so a lot of the special work's dropping off that you'd normally be doing. A client had a deal about to settle, and then, the purchaser couldn't come up with the cash. So, they're having to rehash the deal because, the purchaser said, hey, I've only got this amount of cash available. So then the deal's having to be rewritten up. So having to deal with things like that, which normally in the ordinary course of business, that would just go through.
So there you go, some changes like that. So just for everybody that is on, please feel free to, if you've got questions as you go, to put it in the chat, and then I'll bring them through and ask Alex, so Alex can concentrate on his presentation as we go, and then I'll interrupt him as we go. Or if you're on the Facebook Live, I'll keep a track of the questions as you go underneath. Even if you're on Facebook Live, just let us know where you're from as well. And actually, all those that are on chat, if you are on the Zoom call, if you want to go through and put what your business is and everything too, so that there may be someone on the call who may be the answer to your problem too, in doing that as well. So, Alec, we talked about 3 things. Cash is king. Let's get into this. Cash is king.
It is. That's probably the big thing at the moment, is just understanding that, hey, that it is all about preserving cash. And so that's a key focus really for everyone at the moment. The second thing is business continuity planning. So making sure that you do have a plan in place to keep your business going forward. And then the third thing is understanding what stimulus packages are out there. So this is changing every day in terms of what's being announced. So it's really a case of just keeping up to date with all the things that are happening and understanding, hey, what is it that you can benefit from?
Okay, well, shall we go through, Alec, your presentation's just arrived. So do you want me to actually share that?
Yeah, we'll see how you get on, Wes.
It's just downloading. Here we go. Okay. Let me go through and share the screen.
So I think the big thing with this is to don't deny what's happening. So I've made a lot of phone calls to people over the last few weeks, and some people are very proactive and some people are sort of pretending that it's not happening. So, you've got to be proactive and understand that, hey, things are changing. So in terms of cash, businesses are going to need cash to survive. So it is going to be more about, hey, planning, what are things looking like from a monthly perspective, because there'll be some people you pay monthly. But also there's going to be some that are really tight for cash, so they're going to need to understand their weekly cash flow. So because what's happening is that customers are changing their behaviours. I've had some clients that have gone from having full income to losing more than half of their business income in the space of 24 hours. So you really need to understand, hey, what's happening in relation to that, and then plotting that on a weekly cash flow forecast so that you can then work out, okay, well, where are you going to be at in terms of being able to pay suppliers, pay wages as well, and also understand your cash flow drivers as well. So you want to be doing this yourself, or if you've got a bookkeeper or an accountant, get them to help you so that you understand what your cash position is.
Okay, Alec, what's a cash flow driver? Just so that people can get that. They may not, yes.
Very good question, Wes. I'm glad you asked. If you go to the next page.
I will do that, yes. Oh. There you go. Oh, look at this.
So the cash flow drivers will probably come up a little bit more on the next one, but this is sort of looking at your cash conversion cycle. So for those that have stock, then what happens is you're buying your stock from the supplier, and then you'll have trading terms with them. So let's say you got to pay them day 45. That means that your cash is going out of your business at that stage. But if you don't sell that stock to your customer to, say, day 60, and then you're not receiving the payment for, say, another 60 days on top of that, then that means you're having to fund that business for 75 days or fund that stock for 75 days. So in terms of cash drivers, you're looking at, hey, what can you do to pay your supplier on longer terms than day 45? What can you do to sell your stock faster so you're not having to hold it for as long? And also, what can you do to get payments from customers faster? So, because then that'll start to shorten how long you're having to fund that stock for.
I have noticed some of the bigger businesses have been asked by the government to reduce their payment terms. Like the firm my daughter works for now has to pay within 14 days. So they're changing their whole accounts payable thing. But they've also got to be looking at how their cash is coming in as well. So it's both sides of the coin, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. I've got a client, his sales have gone up, but all his suppliers are asking for cash up front. So yes. Although his sales are increasing, the suppliers are saying, hey, it's cash before we dispatch. And so it's creating a cash flow problem. So, part of that is, trying to negotiate where you can, or if you can't get that from suppliers, hey, is there other ways you can get it? Like, can you get one of these government loans? Can you have a chat to your bank and see if they can extend some finance? The government is now guaranteeing 50% of bank loans up to 250,000. So, and they're encouraging banks to be more generous in relation to lending. But the only thing you've got to be careful of with borrowing money is you've got to make sure that in the future you'll be able to repay it. Because what you don't want to do is borrow money and then keep spending money on things that you shouldn't necessarily be spending money on.
Yeah. So it's a cash flow management thing all through that.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay. Should we go to the next slide?
So then the next slide. So then this is the business 101 cycle. So this is more looking at your cash drivers as well. So the first thing is you need assets. Because without assets, it's hard to generate profit. So, and that's where sometimes you can also look at, hey, do you need to borrow some more money to assist you during these times, especially the case of, hey, the person who's got the sales going well but needs money to be able to fund his stock. So then you've then got profit. So that's, you've got your assets that are then generating profits. So that's where you're looking to, grow your sales if you can. If your sales are going to dry up now, then it's looking at, hey, what else can you do? So a lot of people are now moving online. So a lot of the businesses that were not online previously, they're now getting online platforms up and going. So it's more just looking at, hey, with where we are now and where, if we do potentially go to a lockdown situation, what are the different ways we can still generate sales and still be doing things, and also looking at margins as well, and also reviewing expenses as well. And then you've got to look at what things from a cash perspective then take cash out of your business. So one's going to be debtors. So expectation is your debtors aren't going to pay as fast as they were before. So it's going to be, hey, what can you do to still encourage them to pay while still showing compassion towards them? Also looking at your stock as well. Do you need to be increasing your stock? Some people have to because their supply lines are drying up, but then there's a cash investment in having to do that as well. Others, depending on how easy you can access stock, might be able to run on lower stock levels. Business loan repayments. A lot of banks are now deferring all loans for 6 months. They're pretty much saying, hey, it's going to be, a lot of them are saying, hey, unless you tell us otherwise, we will defer the payments. So that's definitely going to be an area that can help business as well. The ATO is doing the same thing. They're deferring tax payments. So once again, an opportunity to help out cash flow wise. And then, have a look at suppliers. What can you do with suppliers? Ask suppliers what they can do to help you. I had a client phoned me up and said, hey, I've cut all my wages by 20%. What can you do for me? So, he's just going through everybody, just trying to get 20% cuts everywhere.
Just Alec, on that, how are people responding to that? Like, obviously some can do that, some can't do that. And how proactive should we be now in doing that ourselves?
Well, I think it's something you've got to be considering, because part of this is looking at, hey, where's your business going to be going forward? So in the case of the client that contacted me early on, he could tell that some of his orders were going to drop. So as a result, hey, let's get on the phone, had the chat to the employees, cut them back 1 day a week, but also having a chat with the suppliers as well. And pretty much the discussion I then had with them is, hey, well, these are the services we offer you at the moment, what are those services do you still need versus what are those can we cut back on? And so that's the process we went through. So then as a result, we're able to say, well, hey, we can drop our fees by 20% as well. So part of this is everyone helping everyone out.
And that seems to be happening a lot of them. We're all in this together, so let's work together with this.
Absolutely. No, well and truly. And, and those that are being proactive, it's fantastic. They're, getting out there and doing it. Yeah. So
that's key. Alec, one thing I'm concerned about is it's great that the banks are going to defer your loan repayments and the ATO defer your tax payments, but you're still going to have to pay them in 6 months' time. So have you heard, like, are they going to defer that and then extend out, increase your payments or add it to their capital? Have you heard what's going to happen in 6 months' time?
I have no idea. I don't think anyone's got any idea. And so, and that's the challenge you've got is, hey, yeah, at the moment we can go and get payments deferred to the ATO. You can go get refunds out of the ATO, but there's still a liability that's going to exist into the future. And we don't know what support government's going to offer. Like there's some payroll tax refunds, like they're genuine refunds that won't have to be paid back. There's also the cash boost as well. That's genuine, that won't have to be paid back. The JobKeeper, that's another one that's, a permanent cash injection that won't have to be paid back. But a lot of these deferrals, it is going to be a case, hey, will they still have to be paid back in the future? So at the moment they do. You don't know where this is going to end up, Wes. Like I remember in the 80s when we had the stock market crash and deregulation, and remember a lot of farmers went broke. I can remember at that stage in New Zealand, quite a lot of the banks ended up writing off loans. To assist people, you had to go through an application process. So you just don't know what will happen in the future. But the challenge we've got is we don't know what will happen. So at the moment, we've got to assume that we've got to pay everything back. But we don't know where things will end up.
So is it best just to focus on what we need to do to get through this and then think about that later down the track? Or do we do what we've got to do to get through this with that in the back of our minds?
I think you've got to focus on, hey, what can you do now? Because you don't know what's going to be announced next. So we definitely felt there was going to be an announcement from government to support businesses. So if you had a business that gone and closed your doors a couple of weeks ago because you weren't able to pay your staff, you might then be going, whoops, maybe I pulled that trigger too quickly. This is moving very quickly. So part of this is just, sort of taking stock of your own situation. I think that's where you need the financial advice. So have a chat to your accountant and then start to make decisions around, okay, do we keep going and, make these changes, or do we, shut the doors? Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Should we go to the next slide?
Yes. So then business continuity plan. So what you've got to look at is you've got to look at yourself personally. You've got to look at your team, and then look at your clients, and then look at your suppliers. So the idea is with a plan that you're coming up with going forward, you want to make sure that you're covering at least these areas. So we'll now go to personal plan.
Oops, go back. Is that it? No.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, yep. When we go forward. Yep, sorry. Yep.
You're right. Yep. So your big thing is to make sure that your well-being is looked after, because, you're key business people. And so, it's not much good if we get in trouble ourselves and we're struggling as well. So, hey, that's making sure we do look after our family, making sure we're making sensible decisions in relation to our health, in relation as well. And also, looking at your personal assets as well. So big thing is, hey, have your chats with your partners and make some good family decisions as well.
So, Alex, this it reminds me of a scripture: "He who does not take care of his own is worse than an infidel." Like it's if you don't take care of yourself first, it's like the when you're in the airplane and the they're doing the safety thing and the air things come down, the face masks come down. They say put it on yourself first and then help others.
Correct.
If you're not taking care of yourself first, I know that may sound selfish, but you can't be taking care of others if you're not taking care of yourself first.
Correct. That's right. You want to be able to make sensible decisions, so you've got to make sure you're looking after yourself. And I even know like a week or two ago when we're making all these decisions around coronavirus, and you're coming home and Heidi, my wife's wanting to talk more about coronavirus, saying, hey, I just need a break from all this. I went out and had a game of cricket with the kids, I think you've got to allow yourself some downtime as well, rather than just go the whole time. So yeah, I think it's important to come up with plans to look after our own well-being. So, and that's one of the biggest risks, I think, for us as a society, is making sure that we're looking after ourselves mentally through this as well. So
yeah, that's good. Good. Okay, your team resilience.
Yes. So then what you've then got to be looking at is, hey, what's going to happen in relation to your team? So you do need to look at, hey, with your team, you got to work out, hey, is your team going to be required to be working from home? Some people already are. Some people aren't necessarily required to yet, but they might have to going down the track. So it's more looking at each of those roles and how they work. So what we did 2 weeks ago was we made all the team work from home. And so what that did is that forced everybody to get up to date with all the IT, make sure that their home was stopping them from doing that. And even last week, like I went into the office on Thursday and just went around everyone who was still in the office and going, well, what's your roadblock? And some of the roadblocks were fairly minor, but it was good to at least work through them, understand what they are. You know, we changed some processes in relation to that. Some of them were just going to work, so they were getting the mail. They didn't realise that we were happy to scan the mail and have it emailed to them because it was still being put in their pigeonholes at work. So even just little things like that and just talking people through that was enough to get them working from home rather than them staying at work. But also making sure that we're there for them as well. Different people are coping with this differently. So, you know, some people are saying, hey, we're going on a journey being positive, while others are getting really stressed. So it's just more of being available for them as well. But you've also got to have some of those challenging chats as well. Like, you know, I had chats yesterday with, you know, with team members around, okay, well, if your work does slow up, you know, what's the impact on you if your hours are to reduce, like in terms of annual leave or in terms of unpaid leave as well. So it's more around starting to have some of those chats as well, rather than just giving them that complete shock. So at least start to work with them and work out, okay, well, you know, what does it mean for you if these things happen? What support are you able to access from the government? So, you know, the government's making some changes around job support and some of the qualifications. So that works all right for some people, but they're not for others as well. So, and then having your policies around, you know, the COVID-19 as well, and then making sure that your team's clear on what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do. It's quite amazing. Like some of the team just got no idea. So you've got to take them on that journey of helping them understand, hey, this is what you need to do. These are the changes that are happening, and take them on that journey.
Ali, any tips around actually having those conversations with staff? Like some of them are probably expecting it.
Well, that was the thing. All the team have told me, hey, we expected it. So, and I think if you look at the way that you sort of communicate, if you try and communicate in a way that they're probably starting to get ready for it, then that's a good thing. So it's not too big a surprise. But I always think, hey, do unto others what you'd like them to do to you. So You jump around the other side of the table and start thinking, well, hey, how would I like my employer to treat me in this situation? Yeah, so, and go on that journey, you know, and show compassion. You know, it's doing things with love. Hey, the people at the end of the day and the people you want to have in your team going forward as well. So trying to come up with something that works for both sides. It's all about sort of sharing the burden, isn't it? So yeah, but doing it in a way whereby you're not just dumping it on just some people.
Yeah, so no, that's good. Okay, so talk about your clients.
So yeah, big thing with clients is having a comms plan. So make sure you're communicating with them, let them know what the story is, you know, how they can do things, because they'll be wondering what's happening. So make it really clear what's going on. Hey, if you can get onto the phone, then that's even better. You know, I'm trying to phone as many clients as I can, but if nothing else, get some email comms out and just come up with your various ways of letting them know. We have standard emails that are going out as well. So keeping them up to date with all the latest releases and announcements that are going on, and just finding out where they're at as well. So, you know, and what are they doing in terms of adapting to what's going on as well. So the more communication you can have with your customers, the better. And that helps you to understand what's going to happen from your workflow perspective, but also understands, hey, what is it you need to do to adapt as well.
Okay, terms of trade. Should we be Oh, that's an interesting one, isn't it? So, what kind of things are we talking about there? Is it just in terms of when your invoices are due, or is it in how you're supplying things? What kind of things are you considering there?
This is a really hard one, and it's really hard to get it right. And I think at the end of the day, you're going to know your clients or your customers better than anybody else. So, what we've done, for example, is that we're still having the phone calls being made in terms of overdue debtors, but we're not gonna issue the heavy-handed letters. So it's more around sort of case by case. You know your customers that are doing well. You know your customers that are doing it tough. Some people are adopting the no cash up front. And if you can't pay us up front, we won't do anything. I think personally that's harsh, but you just got to come up with what you think's right for your business, and sort of go on that journey. Yeah. So I think what you want to try and do is, hey, your clients that are doing well, then, hey, keep treating them the same. But those that are doing it a bit tough, you're going to have to start to make some decisions, understand that, hey, there's a risk of a bad debt if they end up getting into trouble. So then you've got to decide, hey, you're willing to take that risk, or do you want to see a bit more cash up front before you proceed with the work, or proceed with supplying the stock.
So it is a balance, because some people could take advantage of you during this situation, and you don't want them to end up as a worse debt down the track. So you've still got to keep your handle on it. So communication with each one is very key, isn't it?
And I think it's the communication that helps you guide through it and try and work your way through it. And it's where in some ways you've got to rely a bit on the Holy Spirit as well. If you're feeling that you should be asking someone for cash up front, but the Holy Spirit's telling you something different, well then, hey, who are you going to listen to?
Yeah.
So I think you got your case by. I think you got your case by case. And people are going to be watching how we act at this time. So if you treat your clients well during this time, then it's going to be a stronger relationship going forward than if you use this as an opportunity not to treat them so well. But then you've also got to make sure that you're also trying to look after your business as well. So it is a horses for courses, this one.
Yes. It's interesting. Alec, I must admit, I'm hearing you being a bit more lax than what you normally are. So I'm thinking this is a huge change.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, ideally, you want your clients to survive, because if your clients don't survive, that's going to impact your business as well, isn't it? So, but then you also don't want to go down with them either. So it's that,
It's that balance.
But, it's bigger than that, isn't it? We're going to show the love. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Okay. That's good.
And I think that's part of where it is good to talk on the phone as well. You're talking on the phone, you get a good vibe, and it's an opportunity to show the love, and then work out an agreement. Yeah.
Okay, contracts and cash management. Any key points there?
Yeah, it's just, I think you've just got to work it back to, hey, what are you then looking like cash flow wise? So, at the end of the day, whatever you sort of agree with in relation to your customers, you've got to make sure it works for you. Otherwise, you're going to get to a stage that you can't supply because you've got no cash.
Yep, that's right. Okay, let's move forward. I've got a son that's suddenly joined me here. Okay, suppliers.
Yep. So with suppliers, great opportunity to get on the phone, get out on the email and just start looking to negotiate with them. Start looking at, hey, what payment terms can they offer? So are they happy to push the payment arrangements out? Is there stuff that you actually don't need for your business at the moment? So if there's stuff that you're not needing at the moment, well, hey, then, now's a good chance to stop ordering those things. Start thinking, hey, if you're moving to a work from home environment, then there's probably a lot of things that you're spending money on now that you don't need to. So you might have some subscriptions or some licenses. Some of those might be able to be put on hold. Might be some stuff that you don't necessarily need anymore as well. So it's really just an opportunity to just review things. Your suppliers will be wanting to keep you as a customer as well. So, they're up for negotiations, and banks are a big part of this as well. So banks are happy to negotiate, and also the ATO. And I think
Okay,
also with that,
John.
sorry, the only thing with that, if you've got a team as well, you've got to change your policies in relation to them as well. So you don't want them to still be going out spending money like they have been previously. You've got to say, no, hey, it's now time for things to change.
So again, communication is key, isn't it, in all this,
Correct.
and going through that. So suddenly you're going to be, and actually, like the more I think about this, the more it's a great opportunity to actually to reconnect with everyone, because a lot of times we're actually not reconnecting with our customers and suppliers often enough. So now actually may be a time to do that and find out, to have a good conversation, how they're going, but also what can you do to work together in this situation to improve for both parties.
Absolutely. And then also look at how they're going to supply as well, because they've got to go through changes. Like even our suppliers, hey, if we're not in the office and everything's needing to be done electronically, well, hey, that means that things have to change. Yeah. So the way people might have delivered stuff in the past isn't how they're going to have to do it in the future.
Yeah.
Like I've got software being implemented that involves training. So they were going to do that all on site. So, all that's now got to be done, remotely. So it's more just working through those things, with what agreements you've got in place.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's get to the topic that no doubt a lot of people are on for today, and that's government support. So I see the Prime Minister's just issued some stuff around child care and making that free for people. So that's another thing that's coming out now. So, Alex, what do you guys know now? What should we be looking at in this whole area?
Yes, there's a lot of stuff going on in this space. So this is changing daily, and I suspect it'll continue to change. So the big support's coming out of the federal government. So they're offering a lot of things at the moment. The ATO off the back of that's then offering things. But even like we're a Queensland-based firm, so we probably more focus on what the Queensland government does. But like all the state governments have got different measures that they've got out there as well. And so Queensland government have definitely announced a couple of things so far, but I suspect that there'll be more that they announce as well.
Okay, so let's go through them. Federal government support.
So federal government, I have a 45-page document of things that have been announced by governments in order to support individuals and businesses. So, and it's going to be added to. So there is a lot of stuff out there. But the key ones for businesses is the JobKeeper payment. So that's the one that was announced, which is the $1,500 per fortnight. Key thing around that one is, hey, your turnover needs to have dropped by 30%, unless you're a large business turning over more than $1 billion. And so there's various ways they're going to look at that. The first way they'll look at it is like looking at, say, a month this year versus a month last year. If it's down by 30%, then you're going to qualify. But they're starting to realise pretty quickly that there's a lot of exceptions to all of this. So they now issued an ATO discretion on some of it. There's some people that have just gone into business. So, under the legislation, they don't qualify. But, hey, I think if they can start to show that, hey, that their sales have dropped off by 30%, then there is going to be some ATO discretion around that. So it's going to be a bit of watch this space. They've also announced it for self-employed. Even if the self-employed are in a trust structure or a company structure, but only one person can claim it. So I think there's more detail to come out on this one. And so we've just got to wait for more detail to come on that. But there's some stuff that's really clear. So if your turnover's dropped by 30%, definitely get yourself registered with the ATO.
Okay, Ali, there's been a question come through from Shane. Am I correct in saying that there's a long way between announcement and legislation? Should we wait a bit longer until it's actually in place?
So what they have said is register. So my view is, hey, and I'm telling all my clients this, hey, if your income's dropped, if you know your income's dropped by 30%, then register. It's going to be self-assessment. So if you know that's the case, then do it. If you're not sure, then that's going to be more, hey, have a chat to your accountant and see what happens. But it's a case of all this stuff. It's not until the legislation comes through that you can be clear, but they are calling us to register already. I think 300,000 businesses have already registered. So, there's no harm in registering and getting yourself set up for it.
And so just quickly, that is $1,500 per employee per fortnight that they're looking at paying.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that will be a great help for a lot of business. I guess I guess it's technical, but if the employee is not actually earning that much, will it only be what they're actually paying up to the $1,500?
Well, the announcement suggests otherwise, which I don't get. That doesn't make sense to me. But let's wait to see what happens when it's legislation. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's good.
So, but it would all have to be passed on to the employees. So the employer can't keep any of it. So that's one thing they've made very clear, is that, whatever you get, you've got to pass on. Yeah.
Okay, a question for you. This person, Catherine, has two businesses. One I work in myself, the other has an employee. Both have had a reduction. So will I qualify for both? So what's the case when you've got more than one business?
So they got different ABNs?
Yeah, yes, I think this case, no, they don't have different ABNs.
Different ABNs, yeah. So it might be tricky if it's under the same ABN.
Okay. So if it was different ABNs, it'd probably be two lots of funding. But if it's the same ABN,
so. Yes. Yeah, because what they're going to look at is, hey, what businesses are registered? And then, so I would we'll wait for the detail, but I would have thought if it's all under the one ABN, you'd only be entitled to one payment.
Okay, doing that. Okay, let's talk about cash flow boost.
Yes. So this was the most exciting announcement until JobKeeper came along. So they've had two goes at this one. So, but where we're at now is any business that was employing people from the 12th of March, as long as they're employing people, then they're entitled to a cash flow boost. And there's a bit of a formula about how this one works, but effectively if you end up paying PAYG or withholding PAYG from employees in March, or you had employees on your books that you could have been withholding PAYG from, then you're entitled to a cash flow boost, which will be a minimum of $10,000 and will go as high as $50,000. And effectively how it works is that if you're looking at basically they'll give you a refund on your PAYG, but for Jan to March, they try and work it out over a quarter. So if you're a quarterly PAYG payer from Jan to March, you'll get it all back. If you're a monthly one, then they will times it by 3 to effectively adjust it for the quarter. So, and then what they'll do is do the same thing again in June if you haven't hit your 50,000. So you're entitled to up to 50,000 between the period from March to June. And then what they're then going to do is look at what you were paid for that first period. And if you're still employing people in June, then you're entitled to more again, and then you'll be entitled to more payments up to September. So effectively June and September, you'll then get additional payments. If you're monthly, it'll be 25% of what you've received. You'll get again each month from June to September. If you're a quarterly PAYG deductor, then you'll get half it in June and half it in September. And it'll all be done off the BAS that's lodged.
Okay, so I think that's a key point. So if you haven't got your BASs up to date, you're in a bit of trouble. You need to get in to do that. Would that be right?
Correct, absolutely. Yes. No, a lot of people are wanting their BASs done early.
Okay, so I understand you do that. So get your BAS in as quickly as you can. What about if you haven't got your tax done yet? Because a lot of people's their tax is not actually due till May.
Yeah, so it's not impacting these ones. Because JobKeeper's it's self-assessment, so you can use management accounts for that. Cash flow boost, it's purely just working off your payroll. So that's off your BAS, off your single touch payroll. So they aren't impacted by it. There is a Queensland government loan that requires your 2018 and 2019 financials and tax returns. So if you want to apply for that, you've definitely got to get your financials and tax returns up to date.
Okay. Let's talk about, if anyone's got any questions about this as we go, please put them in the chat and I'll bring them up to Alex as we go. Alex, so instant asset write-off.
Yeah, so just to let you know, may not be applicable for too many people, but the government has allowing a instant asset write-off of up to 150,000. So which is a big change from where they were previously in relation to that. So if you are looking at buying assets, then there is an opportunity to buy them and get some instant deductions for them. There are some carve-outs in relation to that. So your motor vehicles are capped at particular levels, which I think is around that 58,000. So don't go and buy yourself a flash vehicle for 100K, because you'll only get up to you can only get up to when the luxury car tax kicks in. That's all they'll give you. They won't give you any more. So also don't go and build buildings or do office fit outs, because a lot of that stuff's capital works. So you won't be able to claim for that. So once again, hey, if you're looking to buy something, just run it past your accountant. It's got to be new, can't be secondhand. So there are a few rules around it. So that's why you're best to liaise with your accountant rather than just racing off and doing something and then find that, whoops, you don't get the tax deduction.
Okay, so now maybe Tom, if you've been looking at getting some equipment or some things along those lines, but I guess you've got to balance that off. If your business has really gone down, you could end up with a much bigger loss this year. But then I guess you can carry forward that loss in future years as well.
Correct. Yeah, if you're going to make losses, it's probably less of an advantage of doing it. But if you're in a business that's going well and you're potentially looking to buy something anyway, but if you bring it forward and buy it by 30 June, you can get a tax write-off, or then it's a tax minimisation strategy.
Cool. Other support?
Yes, there's a lot of announcements from the federal government, so a heap of stuff. One of my colleagues, Randall King, he did a webinar on this. It was about an hour and a half, I think, in the end, where he goes into a lot of detail around everything that the federal government's offering at the moment. So we're going to put that up on our website. So what I'll do is send you the link once that's up, and that can be a good way for people to then, go through things in a lot more detail around what's offered. So if you've got apprentices and trainees, the government's offering support. They're also offering early access to super if your hours have reduced by 20%. So there's quite a lot of different things that they're offering to help businesses and help individuals.
So I guess one of the key things is to do some research, reach out or phone your accountant and talk to your accountant and say, hey, this is my problem. From what you know, is there anything I can get help with on this at the moment?
Yeah, and the other one's Job Start. So, if you don't qualify for JobKeeper, well, another option might be, depending on how much you're paying your employees, is, hey, potentially have it that they get stood down, they go on Job Start. The partner qualification, I think the partner can earn up to nearly $80,000 before that individual doesn't qualify. So just be aware of some of those changes, because if you're looking at your staff and what to do, it just gives you some different options to look at as well.
Good. Okay, shall we move on to the next slide? ATO Assistance.
Yeah, so good old ATO. So the ATO are offering support. They're not quite as consistent as I'd like them to be, but I'll get over it.
I think you have to, yes.
You do, because they're a monopoly. But they change their mind, that's the only thing. But they're getting there, and I think we've all got to understand, hey, we're all on a journey, and they're on a journey as well, so as to what to do. So initially they announced they would defer all payment plans, but then they've now come back and said, no, we'll only defer payment plans that have been put in place if the debt's been incurred after the 23rd of January. So I think they're jumping around a bit. I think they will have to defer their payment plans anyway, because some businesses physically won't be able to pay them. So I think the best thing to do is liaise with the ATO or liaise with the accountant. They're very hard to get a hold of. That's the only thing. But they are offering payment deferrals on things like income tax, BAS, IAS, in terms of that you will be able to get an extension. So anything that's coming due now or going forward, you will be able to defer. You can also vary PAYG installments. So for the 2020 year, that is significant if you've already paid your tax in September and December. You have the potential to vary that and actually get refunds. So they've never done that before, but you actually can get refunds. And we're seeing them flow through as well. So I've varied a few clients already and they're getting the cash back. So the ATO are responding to that very quickly, so which is great. So, hey, if you're you can do that one or two ways. One might be that, hey, you're seeing that you're not going to need to pay the tax that you thought you'd have to pay previously, so you can put a variation in and get the money back. The other way you can go is just say, hey, for cash flow purposes, I really do need the cash now, and I'll pay the tax later. The ATO is allowing people to vary their PAYG instalments to nil and get monies back.
Wow.
They're also not going
to... That's quite significant, isn't it, Alex?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. I say they've never done it. Well, I'm not aware of them ever doing it before. So it's, so it was a nice surprise. But, once again, you've got to make those decisions. Hey, if you don't think you're being impacted cash flow wise, then you wouldn't worry about that. But if you are, then it's a useful lever to pull to help get more cash into your business. And also remission of interest and penalties. So anything after the 23rd of Jan, they're not charging interest or penalties. And also low interest payment plans as well.
So it sounds like the key there is to ring the ATO yourself, or to talk to your accountant, to get your accountant to ring the ATO, to talk to them. Don't just assume that it's going to happen, but you need to contact them. Is that right?
Yeah. And your biggest challenge at ATO is just the volume of traffic. Like the other night, I couldn't even get on the portal. It was crazy. So I ended up just sitting down late one night and just doing all the variations on the PAYG late at night when you could actually get on and the system wasn't crashing. So that's your only challenge is the ATO is happy to help, but you've got to work out a way of getting a hold of them. So that's where, if you're struggling yourself, that's where your accountant can help out.
Okay, good. Okay, Queensland government measures.
Yeah, so Queensland, payroll tax refunds, so they're coming through already. So all you need to do for this is register, and as long as you register, you get refunded for November and December, January, Feb and March payroll tax. Now, it depends on your level of wages. I think if your wages are less than 6.5 million, that's what they do. And all payroll tax is now deferred until the 14th of January 2021 for payment. So anything from April onwards, you get a deferral up until 14th of Jan 2021 to pay. So you still got to lodge, but you don't have to pay it at the end.
So that's good and bad in that it's good that you don't. So you still got to lodge, but they're not. You're still going to have to pay, but you just don't have to pay till next year. But then you got to keep that in account, cash flow wise,
so
for January next year.
Yeah, so you can choose to pay earlier. You can say, hey, I'm just going to pay ordinarily, but at least it's not due until the 14th of Jan. Yeah. But the payroll tax refunds, they're worth getting because they're permanent. They won't have to be repaid back.
Okay, good. So job support loans.
Yeah, so this is the $250,000 loans that Queensland government are offering. So they've got $500 million that they're putting up in terms of job support loans. So, but businesses apply online, but they need to submit 2018 and 2019 financials and also prove that their tax returns have been lodged. How their calculation is going to work on this is they'll take your wages for 2018 and wages for 2019, and then they're looking to offer loans up to 50% of your wages. So we don't know what their approval process will be like in relation to that, but encourage people to, get your application in there. It's an interest-free loan for 12 months. Then after that, and there'll be no repayments required in the first 12 months. And then after that, I think interest is then at a low rate and then it ramps up. But it might just be a way to help people out in the meantime.
Okay, so that's quite a benefit to businesses that want to keep going at this point in time.
Yeah, and purely Queensland government's always about jobs. So jobs and growth. That's what you hear from them. So,
it's true. Jobs and growth.
Jobs and growth, and they secretly say payroll tax, but they don't announce that. But because one of the things they try and do is try and get people up to a stage that they're paying payroll tax. But they're big on jobs. So that's where this one sort of fits with what they're trying to achieve.
That's good. Excellent. Okay, so more info.
Yes, so I've just put our website up there. So that's our website. There is a link to the business continuity planning where Gene, who's one of my colleagues, he's gone into this in a lot more detail. So that's worth jumping on and having a look at as well. and there's one on government stimulus, so that will go up on our website. My understanding is it'll go up today, but once it's gone up, I'll send you the link as well, Wes.
Okay, that'd be great. Excellent.
So, and that'll go into a lot more detail than what I have.
Okay, so let's open this up. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Any questions from? Thank you. We've had quite a number of people on today. Any questions from anybody who wants to chime in? If you want to even unmute yourself or put it into the chat. It sounds like you've explained it very well, Alex. So it sounds like all this is a work in progress too, isn't it? So it's yeah. So some of it still needs to be legislated, which I think they're calling Parliament back next Wednesday to do. Some has already been legislated, some is already in place, but get in and register, talk to your accountant, talk to the taxation office, and be proactive in your communication strategy is very key now. Are you talking to your customers? Are you talking to your suppliers? Are you talking to your staff? Talking to your accountant? I know it's a lot of phone calls, but this could actually really transform your business at this point in time.
No, absolutely. That's the key, is communicate. And if you're having trouble getting through on the phone to people, just send emails as well. I'm getting a lot of emails come through as well, just because, people are flat out on stuff. Some people's businesses have been turned upside down, so they are very busy.
Okay. Here's a question for you. Is now a good time to change accountants?
Well, it depends. Like if you've got a good accountant, then no, you wouldn't. You would stay with who it is. If your accountant's not able to give you the advice that you're looking for, or not able to get your financials done, then it'd be worth then having a look around.
How hard is it? Sorry, I'm just responding to another question here. How hard is it to change accountants? What do you need to do?
Well, these days it's a lot easier because a lot of your software is now in the cloud. So if you're on a Xero or a Mob or a QuickBooks online or a Reckon, then they're usually very easy because, hey, the stuff's already in the cloud. The new accountant can jump in, have a look at your file pretty quickly, and as long as you've got it fairly tidy, it's easy then for someone to pick that up and you ask the previous accountant for the previous information that they've got as well, which they'll hand over, or you've probably got that yourself anyway. So then it's easy enough. The only thing is you won't get your face-to-face meetings with your accountants anymore. So you'll now be doing Zoom meetings or phone calls.
That's right. And they're probably much shorter and to the point too.
Yes, that's right. Less coffees.
Okay, here's a question for you. If you're not a non-essential business, but you are able to have all the people to work from home, will you be penalized or fined? Do you know that? If you're not a non-essential business, but you are unable to have all people to work from home, so will you be penalized or fined? So if you haven't got the systems for people to work from home and they still have to come into your office and you're a non-essential business, do you know if you'll
So part of that is checking what is the list of essential business. So even accountants at the moment are still listed as an essential business. So when you look at the definition that the Queensland government's put out, but what it also says is that people should be working from home if it's reasonable for them to be able to still do their job. So where we're at is that all the accountants are working from home. Our receptionist is still there answering the phones, and there's a couple of support people that it's easier for them to be in the office than what it is to work from home. So from a reasonableness test, that passes the reasonableness test. If they are going in the office, you definitely need to make sure that you're doing the social distancing, following the social distancing rules. And I think there's limits on how many people can now be in offices as well. So, but yeah, my view would be is, hey, if you can get people to work from home, that's the way to go. But if you can't, then yeah, just check to see what's listed as essential businesses. So those businesses that have had to close, like gyms or stuff like that, then they're clearly clearly can't have people going to the gym and doing stuff like that. But I do know a lot of businesses, although they won't be essential under a lockdown, they're still classed as essential for the purposes of working from work.
So I guess one of the things there is if you can keep employing people. That's really what the government wants you to do at this time, isn't it? So yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so just got a couple more minutes to go. Any other questions before we? Let me see if there's anything that's come up on the Facebook page.
I think with this stuff as well, hey, if you're not sure, ask. So, you can ask people. There's some good information there.
Hang on, there are some other questions I didn't get to. What about business owners who draw money as a trust distribution rather than an employee? Do they qualify?
Yes, that's a big one at the moment. So, depends what you're asking, what they qualify for. I think at the moment there's not too much that they qualify for. But if it is a sole trader and they don't have employees, then and they are working in their business, I think they're going to be able to qualify for JobKeeper. But we need to wait for the detail on that. But I think only one person will. So what I'm hearing is if you register one person's, you probably register their tax file number.
Okay, so that'll be the situation if your husband and wife are in the business and both of you get a distribution from the business, only one of you could probably qualify for the JobKeeper, is what seems to be coming
That's what
through.
I'm thinking, but it's very sketchy. This is only on a press announcement coming out about 5 minutes before I jumped onto this. So, this is all moving very quickly.
Okay.
So there's no detail around it. So it's a watch the space. But if you've got employees, then I think you'll be, I don't think you will. But they may change that going forward.
Can an individual have 2 ABNs? I think the answer to that is yes, isn't it? You can have as many ABNs as you like, can't you?
Should only have 1 ABN as an individual.
Oh, an individual will have 1 ABN.
And you can have branches.
Yeah. Okay.
You can have multiple ABNs if you're in partnerships. So you can have more than 1 ABN if you're in partnership with someone else. But it should only be 1 ABN per person, because after that you're setting up as a branch.
Okay. Or if you have different companies that have a different ABN.
Correct, but it's the company that has the ABN, not the individual.
Not the individual. Okay, another question here. Where will I find a list of essential services?
Good question. I've asked someone else to look into this. So I'm assuming it must be on a Queensland government comm. So I'll have a look to see what comms I've got and flick something through to you, Wes.
Okay, no worries. That's good. Okay, there's just for those in the chat, actually here it is. Actually, that's just to me personally. Let me copy that and I'll send it to everyone. Okay, so there's just a thing that's come through, and I'll put that on the Facebook page as well afterwards. Okay, thanks for that, Shane. Yeah, so we just sent
so that's sorted. Yep.
Non-essential businesses provided by Health Queensland.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, we're at the hour mark. This has been quite an informative time. Thank you to all those who go on. And I see there's quite a few that have been watching online as well. Any final questions before I go? Leaving for my next Zoom meeting? Yes, my life is full of Zoom meetings. I get that at the moment as well. Okay, thank you guys so much. It's great to see everyone. Thank you so much, Alec. And we'll put some of those links and things up underneath our Facebook thing, and we're also putting them up on YouTube. This will be the last of our Zoom expert lunches that we're doing. Next week, we've actually got a new course that has been released that we will start doing called Refocus. So I'll be refocusing on that next week. So more details of that just hit my desk today. And then we go from there. But thank you to all those that have participated this week. The views on the we've had hundreds of people watching these, so it's been very well received. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day, and keep up your 2 chairs times. God wants to speak to you at this time as well. Okay, bless you guys. See you.
That's great. Thanks, Wes. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Alex. See ya.
All the best.
Bye.